So many Palestinians have been killed by Israeli forces since the Second Intifada that it equates to one being killed every 3 days for the last 13 years. In fact, 2 Palestinian teens were just gunned down broad daylight on camera.
The killing of those 2 Palestinian teens by Israel was caught on multiple cameras. And I'll talk more about the context of those murders after I show you a clip from this highly recommended video, which I recommend you watch and click the like button.
It's clear that the New York Times is engaged in a whitewash of the real sources of this crisis and doing deep disservice to its readers. Beyond that, Abby, I see very little discussion of this crisis and the real roots of it in progressive media.
Right.
And your show is one of the few shows that I see discussing it, even in the alternative online media.
And let's get into that, Max, because according to the Ministry of Information in Ramallah, so many Palestinians have been killed by Israeli forces since the Second Intifada that it equates to one being killed every 3 days for the last 13 years. In fact, 2 Palestinian teens were just gunned down broad daylight on camera last month. I didn't hear the White House issuing condolences for them. Why do you think this latest tragedy is being framed as different even by alternative media sources, suggesting that because Israeli teens are dead, it somehow makes the playing field equal?
Well, we're hearing a lot of rhetoric about a cycle of violence, as if one side isn't the oppressor and the other side isn't oppressed. And we're seeing undue focus on the 3 Israeli victims. Israel, while it rampages through the West Bank, through Jerusalem and Gaza, portrays itself as the victim. And that was Netanyahu's intention from the beginning. That's partly why I think the details of this crime were concealed from the Israeli public. It was to allow Netanyahu to milk this crime for all it was worth, to portray Israel as a victim. And as we've seen time and time again in U.S. media, Israeli Jews are the worthy victims, while Palestinians are unworthy victims. They're unworthy of being humanized.
Those are good points as far as how the U.S. media framed the story of the kidnappings and downplays and suppresses the track record of Israel's aggression. And if you look at how the U.S. media had framed the kidnapping story, you could see why most of the audience would never even think that those kidnappings could be revenge for the murder of 2 Palestinian teens. So basically, Israel murders Palestinians. If anyone responds to that, then Israel collectively punishes Palestinians, bombing and killing large number of Palestinians. And the media plays along with this as if Israel isn't the aggressor. Israel was caught on camera murdering Palestinians, and then CNN gives a platform to Israel apologists to make claims that those videos were faked. And then when the kidnapping happened just a few weeks later, you don't even get an inkling that that kidnapping could be a reaction to something Israel has done. U.S. media acted like that kidnapping had no motive. A CNN cameraman caught the Israeli soldier firing the shot, but I didn't see CNN do a follow-up about how the man whose store security cameras captured those shootings. He was intimidated. The Israeli soldiers showed up at his business, confiscated the video equipment, and they started threatening the man and his family. There was very little coverage of how Israeli soldiers were threatening the store owner whose video cameras captured the murders. I didn't see it mentioned at all on TV. And how does that just happen? That Israel just happens to use live fire against unarmed Palestinian teens. So Israel outright murders Palestinians. That's captured on camera. It's a horrible emotional trauma to the Palestinian people. And we're supposed to believe that no one would react at all? That when the kidnapping happened, no one questioned and said, could this have been motivated by those murders that Palestinians saw on video? Here's an article that was published on the same day of the kidnapping of those 3 Israelis. The deaths of the 2 Palestinian youths killed a few weeks ago outside Alpha prison during the Nakba Day demonstration have proved harder for Ramallah than any other West Bank killing over the past few years. So we should think about that there was not only the cynical exploitation of the kidnapping, there was also the odd framing as if there was no motive for the kidnapping, and the impact of watching Palestinian teens being killed on camera. Those shootings were really downplayed, the impact that that had on the Palestinian people. Remember, this is the video where CNN actually caught on camera the Israeli soldier shooting one of the Palestinian teens. This was a major story. And this is a video that Palestinians had to see. You don't hear those kidnappings being referred to as revenge kidnappings or questioning, could these kidnappings be revenge? You see how the U.S. media frames things in a certain way? Look at the links in the video description, because Fair has a good story about how the U.S. media continually frames this as it's always Israel reacting. Meanwhile, the reality is Israel is the aggressor. It's Palestinian people reacting to Israeli aggression. U.S. media is really pushing a distorted view of reality by suppressing that fact. They suppress the history, and they also distort recent events. So like I said, I recommend this video. Please share this video with others, and that will promote the other video.